Thank you, Vice Chairman Mao. Thank you, everybody who is in attendance. I warmly welcome you to the fourth edition of musevenomics.
Bitegeza ki? Musevenomics.
I was challenged to study this form of economics by people who had cooked me, by NPA, National Planning Authority had cooked me. Then they made a PowerPoint presentation for me to deliver to the president. And it was made out of PowerPoint. So I delivered the note to the president. He read it and he took his time. And in March 2020, he answered me. And he said that whoever wants to discuss with him the economy of Uganda and Africa in general should answer those questions. And as you know, he's both a leader and a teacher. He asks questions and then he answers them. So he asked the 6 questions which are under discussion there at the conference. And I hope you will critique what he termed as the stimuli package that him and his colleagues, like Chairman Mao has talked about, Mulema, Chesimera, and others, what they had come up with in the economic adjustment program. So I'm not going to focus on the stimuli packages they used to resurrect the economy. I'm going to focus on one factor of production. And I will be asking the technical team, because now these days I use experts to create debates on my behalf. Now that factor of production, when we were sent into the field as OWC, we found it to be the most distorted factor of production. And that was land. So today, I will use the words of experts to illustrate this point to the conference so that you can get answers for what these experts were raising. Now, slide number 1 is composed of an advisory note from Amanda Ngavirano, who is the chairperson of the Physical Planning Board. She's asking us, do we understand the land use balance sheet in Uganda? Because land is the factor of production. Now Amanda is asking us, do we really understand what we need to do with land in order to be able to feed people by 2040, when we shall be 60 million people? That note is on the screen there. And I think you can discuss it as we go along. It is a short note, advisory note. Now, when I got that note, I had to consult the President's office. President's office, from a director there, Mr. Vincent, gave his own opinion of land use. And I think we need to go through them slowly so that we understand how do we distort, how do we remove the distortions from this major factor of production. Because all the stimuli packages that musevenomics proposes, I think 80% of them or 60% of them are based on land. Now, if land is a distorted factor of production, then it distorts other areas. That's what we have been discussing now for almost 4 years. Then after that, I got a brief from the public agencies which are holding land, the land of Uganda in trust. A note has also been attached, not that one, the one of conservation. No, not that one. Yeah, that land under conservation, mainly in northern Uganda, where they clearly state that 4 million acres of land are under conservation, either NFA, UWA, NEMA, Uganda Land Commission, through agencies of government. So that is slide number 4. Because I use experts, I don't have so much knowledge, but I use people who have knowledge to create discussion points for me. Then slide number 4 is an advisory note, actually for which I'm fundraising money for. Study who owns Kampala, who owns land in Kampala. It is that I have that advisory note from Professor John Chigula, and he's fundraising for money to make a concrete study so that we know who owns what land in Kampala, because it is becoming a big discussion point. Everybody thinks that I own half of Kampala when I have only, I think I have maximum 2 acres. And actually, if we were to ask the audience, how much land do you think KCCA owns? I don't know how many of them would get the right answer there. Then, interesting, the other week, I got a request from Internal Security Organization that they wanted to know how, when I came to own capeeka and what I'm using the capeeka land for. Imagine you get a note from the Internal Security asking you, how did you come to own this land? It's there, but don't show the budget they had attached for research. Now, these are very, very important questions for all of us. So, fortunately for me, the day when ISO came, I had very, very good answers for them, because we had already studied carefully the history, the ownership, the utilization of that land in capeeka called Namunkekera Council Estate. So for today, for me, I want to stimulate debate within that conference. We know the stimuli which were used to resurrect the economy. We know them, security of persons and property, privatization and liberalization, return of Asian properties, and all those. But for me, I wanted to challenge the conference, the fourth or fifth edition of UDF discussions, to specifically focus on this factor of land as a factor of production, and we see how we shall remove the distortions from that factor so that we are able to utilize it maximally. Because when you read what Dr. Amanda talks about, she says there is shortage, so we must do something. Then Vincent says we must do something, but we shouldn't touch land for conservation. Then these agencies which are holding land in trust on behalf of government are not maximizing the usage. and sometimes they are the ones who create conflicts on those lands. And then this Kampala city, Kampala, who owns land in Kampala, is a very interesting subject, which I think really needs to be studied, needs to be funded and studied. Then I will ask Engineer Chibuka, who is present there. He is my specialist on the conflicting of lands, especially that one of capeeka. If he is given time, he is going to give you insights. That is what I wanted to discuss, because even in northern Uganda right now, the issue is land, the conflict between the Achoris and the what they call Valaro, what we call migrant cattle keepers, is about land. So the keynote address, I think, is going to be given by Dr. Suruma, who was my leader when I was at the Ministry of Finance. And I think he is going to articulate all the other issues related to our attempt to reach out to the moneyless people. In the last 10 years, I have led a mission called OWC. It has not been a very easy mission, because we are told to go and look for people who have never touched money. 68%. We struggled with inputs, with coffee, with tea, with all those inputs over that period. And statistically, they say we were able to reduce the people outside the money economy from 68% to about 39%. And recently, I hear even the poverty levels have gone even lower. So, dear participants and discussants, I request that you focus on the stimuli packages that were used, but you also help us to understand the land use balance sheet. Because if we do that, I think we shall devise means on how to utilize maximally that resource. Because the land is where minerals are best, land is where homesteads are best, that's where factories are best. So if it remains as distorted as it is today, that will not help us to achieve the 500-fold, 50-fold or 500? 50-fold, 10-fold growth. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you help me to answer that question and listen carefully to the rest of the presenters, we shall produce a very big report out of this conference, and it will be helpful to us to look into the future. Because we have been discussing with the academia, with the private sector, with the ordinary mwananchi, and we are just trying to put together the economic history of Uganda, and it is very, very interesting, because from what we have been able to read, the first development plan of Uganda as the protectorate was 1946. Now, 40 years later, in 1986, that is when NRM came to power, and they hired some experts under the IDRC, International Development Research Center from Canada. And as Chairman Mao said at that time, if you look at the list of cabinet ministers who were the first cabinet of our liberation, 60% 60% of them were from DP. So I have been arguing with Chairman Mao, what caused the divorce? Because the divorce happened when I was here in Gulu, 1996. But I think Chairman Mao is the one who causes that divorce, because that time he was really like fire. And I don't know whether he will agree with me. But now 2022 went back into an alliance with them, which was very, very good for me, because for me, I never liked the separation of those people whom we had worked with for 10 concrete years. And in that...
Noza mutegedde. Mau yali mukozi w'abali nga bamusindika eno. Namala ne bazaayo omwana waabwe.
Those 10 years when we were working together, I think that's when Uganda was recording double digit growth. But when we started fragmenting, that's when we got a lot of issues. So he's my vice person in UDF, in think tanking, and we are doing very good work. So I wish him the best in his delegates conference. And I want to thank the Minister of Finance. I want to thank the Uganda Development Corporation and all the agencies that have supported OWC to get to the ordinary Mwananchi. We are very excited that we participated in this revolution of reducing the people who are outside the money economy, and we hope we can completely eliminate it in the next 5 to 10 years. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'm sorry I couldn't come to Kampala because Kampala is a bit troubled. So Gulu is more calmer than Kampala. That's why I stay in Gulu. It has a calmer atmosphere. And I invite all of you that the next conference that we are going to hold should be held in Gulu here. Thank you very much for listening to me. I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Bebo. Kati ne Gulu bagifuula yaabwe. Bamu strategy